Imagine a man, one-eyed, one-armed, yet his name still echoes as a legend across all the seas. This was the warrior who made the British Empire the master of the oceans. He was fearless, relentless, and a hero who gave his life for his country. His name, Horatio Nelson. This is the story of the legend of the seas. Fact 1. Birth and family. On the morning of September 29, 1758, in the quiet village of Burnham Thorpe in Norfolk, England, a frail and pale child was born. This child would one day become the greatest naval hero of the British Empire, Horatio Nelson. His father, Reverend Edmund Nelson, was a simple but principled clergyman. His mother, Catherine Suckling, came from noble roots. Her family was related to the famous Walpole lineage, connecting her to England's upper class. However, the family was not wealthy. They lived in a modest village home, raising their children with humility and deep values. Horatio was the sixth of 11 children. His childhood was marked by loneliness and frequent illness, yet his spirit never broke. He spent countless hours wandering the fields and along the shoreline, listening to the sound of the sea and dreaming of adventures beneath the waves. Tragedy struck when his mother passed away when he was just 9 years old, a loss that would forever shape his character. From that day on, a determination stirred within him like a cold wind. One day, this quiet child would become a hero his mother could be proud of. He did not yet understand it, but his destiny was already calling him to the seas. Fact 2. Childhood love for the sea. From a very young age, Horatio Nelson felt a deep fascination and love for the sea. Growing up in the village of Burnham Thorpe in Norfolk, he often sat along the shoreline, listening to the sound of the waves and feeling a strange thrill as he watched the sails on the horizon. Unlike other children who played games, Nelson was captivated by ships and distant voyages. After losing his mother at an early age, the sea became for him both a place of solace and escape, as if its waters comforted him like his mother's embrace. He would often tell his father, "Father, one day I will be on one of those ships." This childhood dream would come to shape the entire course of his life. By the age of 12, Nelson had already become a member of the British Royal Navy. From that day forward, the sea was not just a home, it was his battlefield and destiny. Fact 3. Surviving tropical diseases. As a young man at sea, Horatio Nelson faced deadly tropical diseases, especially during his voyages in the Caribbean. He contracted illnesses such as malaria and yellow fever, which were often fatal. Doctors considered his chances of survival very slim, yet Nelson's strength of will and resilience carried him through miraculously. During his illness, he was physically weakened and endured great suffering. But these experiences taught him patience, endurance, and composure, qualities that would define him on the battlefield. Each time his body recovered, Nelson felt an even stronger commitment to life and to fighting. These diseases could have cut his life short, yet instead they forged him into a more determined, courageous, and passionate leader. These moments laid the foundation for the fearless and resolute conduct that would define him at Trafalgar and other future battles. Fact 4. Extraordinary courage. Horatio Nelson was renowned on the battlefield for his legendary courage. He never feared standing at the front lines alongside his soldiers and officers, always taking his place at the forefront. Throughout his life, despite being wounded in many battles, he never retreated. In wars such as the Battle of the Nile in 1798 and the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, Nelson demonstrated his determination to all commanders and troops. On the battlefield, he would often say, "Captains must lead from the front, so the men will follow." His bravery inspired his soldiers. Whenever Nelson led the way, his men fought fearlessly for victory. This quality made him not only a great leader, but also a hero who commanded deep respect and admiration. Fact 5. Losing his eye. In Horatio Nelson's life, wounds and losses did not stop with his arm. His courage and fighting spirit also cost him an eye. From a young age, Nelson's love for the sea often led him on dangerous voyages. During one of his first serious battles, a cannon explosion severely injured his left eye. Doctors declared that saving the eye was impossible, and so Nelson remained one-eyed for the rest of his life. This injury left a permanent mark on his character. Though physically weakened, he became stronger in spirit. Losing his eye did not break his resolve. he continued to be a calm, determined, and inspiring leader on the battlefield. His soldiers, despite his one-eyed condition, looked up to him with immense respect and admiration. Nelson's gaze was not just about sight. His will, purpose, and fearlessness shone through to everyone around him. These injuries were among the experiences that turned him from a mere warrior into a legend. Losing his eye became a symbol of his fearless leadership and bravery in Trafalgar and other future battles. Nelson was no longer just a man. He was a legend, seeing all the seas with one eye and guiding his soldiers with his spirit. Fact 6. Becoming a legend at Trafalgar. Horatio Nelson's name is most famously remembered for the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. In this battle, Nelson commanded the British fleet against the French and Spanish forces. It was not just a battle, it was a decisive struggle for control of the seas in Europe. Nelson, when planning the battle, chose a bold and risky strategy, different from traditional tactics. He split the enemy's columns, delivering unexpected and crushing blows. He directed each ship personally, and even though he was one-eyed, he maintained control over every detail. During the battle, Nelson led from the front, inspiring his men. Every wave, every cannon blast tested his resolve, yet he never wavered. As a result, the British fleet crushed the French and Spanish forces, and the Battle of Trafalgar became the foundation of Britain's centuries-long naval dominance. Trafalgar was also Nelson's final battle. He was struck by a bullet and seriously wounded, yet his courage and strategy turned him into a legend even in death. After this battle, Nelson was remembered as an eternal hero in British history, immortalized by Nelson's column in Trafalgar Square. Fact 7. Religious beliefs. Throughout his life, Horatio Nelson's deep religious faith influenced his decisions, courage, and behavior. Although as a child he showed curiosity about Islam, Judaism, and other religions, he saw himself as a devout Christian. His father, Edmund Nelson, a clergyman, taught him Christian morals and values. For Nelson, faith was more than daily prayers and rituals. It was also the source of bravery on the battlefield, leadership over his men, and a sense of justice. Whenever he faced danger, Nelson would pray to God for strength and guidance to make the right decisions. His faith also manifested in respect and mercy toward his soldiers and enemies. When making decisions about captured foes, he prioritized humanity and compassion. Faith strengthened him to accept death and fulfill his duty with resolve. During the Battle of Trafalgar, his last words were, "Thank God I have done my duty." These words reflected his devotion both to his country and to God. Thus, Nelson's religious faith shaped not only his personal spirit, but also his identity as a warrior and leader. Fact 8. Love story, Emma Hamilton. Horatio Nelson was legendary not only on the battlefield, but also in matters of the heart. Despite being married, he shared a deep and scandalous love with Emma Hamilton, one of England's most famous women. Emma became his emotional support and inspiration. Their relationship caused a stir in England. But for Nelson, she was more than a lover. She was his trusted friend and soulmate. Even at sea in the midst of battle, Nelson's heart was with Emma, giving him courage and determination. Their love revealed his human side, sensitivity and passion, making it a timeless legend in history. Fact 9. Preserving his body and spirits. After Horatio Nelson fell heroically at the Battle of Trafalgar, his body needed to be preserved for the long journey home. At that time, special methods were used to prevent decomposition during sea travel. Nelson's body was kept in a cask of rum to ensure it arrived in England fully preserved. This process allowed his legacy to remain honorable and unique, turning his death into a part of history. Even after death, Nelson became a legend, remembered not only for his battles but also in the eternal memory of history. Fact 10. Death and legacy. Nelson's life ended heroically at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. During the fight, a cannonball struck him, causing fatal injuries. But his determination and courage turned him into a legend even in death. His final words were, "Thank God I have done my duty." Nelson was more than a warrior and admiral. He was a symbol of Britain's naval power and a legendary leader. His body was transported in rum to England to prevent decay and allow a respectful burial. Today, Nelson's column in Trafalgar Square immortalizes his name. Thousands honor his bravery every year, and his fearless courage, strategy, and passion continue to inspire generations. Nelson's life shows that even with physical limitations, a person can shape history through spirit and will. He was not just a hero, he became an eternal symbol and legend. Horatio Nelson's life shows us that courage, will, and love can turn a person into a legend. He saw all the seas with one eye, yet inspired the entire world with his spirit. If you love such heroic stories, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. In our next adventure, we'll explore more unforgettable heroes from history. Subscribe, stay tuned, and join us on this journey through history.